I'd like to start with Lucius, given your economic development perspective. If you can share what are those vibrant industries in LA and what are the ingredients of the LA economy that enables the success of those industries?
Well, thank you, Veronica. I think you have an incredible representation of what makes LA County unique on the panel today. My area of expertise right now is emerging hard tech, space and defense, because that's really what we're seeing grow in Long Beach outside of the traditional drivers, transportation, logistics. We have our own port complex, and my colleague's actually speaking in the room across the way right now about what's going on in the Port of Long Beach. So I'm not going to dive into that. I think from regionally what makes us unique, when I'm having conversations either with site selectors or principals, CEOs, and founders, the concerns I hear from them are really speed to market. How fast can they get their product, especially in a startup world, which is really thriving across the world today? How fast can they get the product to market, and can they find the talent that they need to design, engineer, and manufacture that product? I'm sure most people know Los Angeles County is massive population size. From a 30,000 foot perspective, if LA County population-wise is larger than the entire state of Washington and Arizona. Folks don't think about that. So when I hear folks talking about Phoenix, I wish them good luck finding the talent they need here, because we have plenty of talent here in LA County. If you put LA County, and not to talk about our neighbors to the south, Orange County, too much, but if you put the two counties together, we'd be the 5th largest state in the United States. So it's pretty incredible to think about what you can access here talent-wise. I think what's really exciting that we're seeing in LA County, and I'm going to try not to talk too much about the city that I serve on a daily basis, but really think about regionally. We're seeing a lot of innovation, space, defense. We have a lot of folks moving here that are developing satellites. We had a company that the mayor and I were working with just at the end of last year that we announced in February, called True Anomaly. They were founded by a former Space Force officer in Colorado. They had a challenge in Colorado. A lot of folks think about Denver as this incredible emerging market, but they couldn't find enough talent for them to scale up. So they came to Southern California. They looked around. They settled in a specific city. I won't mention the city, in LA County. And they secured a 90,000 square foot advanced manufacturing facility. So we're seeing the access to talent. Historically, I think of the five original primes, when you think about aerospace, aviation, and space, they were either founded here or they grew significantly here, over the past 100 years. I like to use the term new primes in the space industry. In LA County, we have the international headquarters of SpaceX. Well, we have SpaceX. We have the headquarters of Rocket Lab, Relativity Space. VAST is building the first commercial space station that's going to be in low Earth orbit next year. So we're seeing the talent roll off from these new primes like Rocket Lab, like SpaceX, that are starting their own companies. And again, they're looking for facilities and talent that really can only be sourced here in Southern California.
Thank you, Lucius. And so we'll talk about the theme of talent. And that's something that was covered earlier in the previous plenaries, but I agree that I don't think it's fully appreciated when people talk about business opportunities. They look at the cash flow opportunities, they look at kind of the financials and the numbers, and the people are a key component to those numbers actually becoming a reality, number one. And then number two, the speed to market. The market access here of how you can test products, how you can access different consumer profiles, and then take that nationwide, globally, is critical. Want to come back to film as a particular industry. So Paul, would love to hear from you of what has made LA conducive to film over time.
Well, originally, a lot of it was getting away from Thomas Edison's patents in New York, believe it or not, which caused the industry to move west over 100 years ago. Weather was a thing, space was a thing, and their ability to get the kind of light they needed. All of those things together made for a place that they wanted to be. Since then, because it was a nascent industry, it didn't exist many places else in the world, it concentrated its development in one place. So several studios opened, several sub-studios, the infrastructure, the cast and crew, all built up here over the course of 100 years to make it a dense, centered organization that no one else in the world has. You know, even England, which is our major competitor, their stages, their studios, their people are spread all over the country, which takes away that ability to get anything and anyone you want in one place quickly. And so it has been its major advantage, has been the personnel, the talent, the technology clusters that exist to help the film industry. And we'll talk a little later, I think, about all the other groups that cross over into filming to make it a successful enterprise here.
Thank you, Paul. And my economic developer kind of nerd like that you brought up clusters because that ties to the theme that we study a lot at LADC, and I know a lot of others in this room do too, of industry clusters and this concept of this tight concentration of stakeholders and businesses and players related to a particular industry. And then I appreciate your point of, again, LA is not dependent on one industry. And so each of these clusters also can benefit from each other. There was a lot of conversation of would digital access reduce the strength of clusters? Now you can just send an email, you can just hop on a Zoom call. And look, that's helped a lot and that's been a great tool. At the end of the day, we build things, we sell things, we buy things, buy experiences, deliver experience. So much of it is physical, and being proximate is a key ingredient. Want to pivot to Kenko, if you can share from your perspective what has made LA attractive to Japanese companies, that you've covered a whole range of tech, space, clean energy. So can you share what has made that attractive and any examples?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me this panel discussion. I'm Consul General of Japan in Los Angeles. One of my important jobs is to promote Japanese businesses here in Los Angeles. Soon there will be another announcement of the report. But Japan continued to be one of the largest investor to whole the United States as well as in Southern California specifically, and producing a lot of jobs. And then one of my job is to promote Japanese industries. And speaking of innovations, I think, well, there are various areas, Japan and the United States working together. Even at the current administration, our Prime Minister visited Washington in February. We continued to expand our collaboration in the critical technologies and promoting we now call it at the government level, the energy security. So energy related collaboration is also important aspect. And also the summit, we're also talking about the collaboration in the outer space technology areas. So among those areas, I'd just like to mention some of our examples. One is about the energy, or we are focusing more on the clean and the sustainable climate-related technologies. Japanese companies now promoting the hydrogen technology here in Southern California. There are 35 Japanese companies created a group called Japan Hydrogen Forum, and some of the Japanese companies already working on mostly in the port facilities like the Paseco, Mitsui, it's the Mitsui affiliated companies, have the pilot project or utilizing the hydrogen fuel cell rubber tire gantry crane. So it will be new materials. And also in the Long Beach, Toyota working together with the fuel cell energy to develop the so-called tri-gen productions. I mean, it's producing hydrogen with the clean hydrogen. So these are already starting in this region. And as for the medical areas, a Japanese medical company called Takeda recently announced the additional investment in their facilities in the city of Los Angeles, adding 230 million US dollars in additional investment to produce the plasma derived therapy productions. It's the blood-related products to expand their operations. And next week, the UCLA and the Kyoto University have some the seminars talking about the biomedical science, including like stem cell, iPS cells technologies. And those are the areas where we are really interested in to expand in this region for the medical. And the last one about, what is the, I have to. Another one is the space and the defense industries. One of the Japanese company called the Nikon opened their headquarters of the advanced manufacturing in Long Beach. That facility is making using the huge 3D printers, using the metals to producing very sophisticated materials, the prototypes. That materials can be used for the space industries or sometimes the defense industries. So this will be another good opportunity for us to expand our collaboration in new areas for our future.
Thank you. And that range, I think it's just so awesome. Like all these innovations and these products and these examples of a product here that maybe had a history of providing, being part of the supply chain for this sector, and then this new sector emerges years later, and it can provide products for that. So that intersection of sectors, I think, is very exciting, and would love to kind of come to Julia and hear, because I know that for you and your company, this is ultimate representation of so much intersection. So can you share what made LA attractive to BMW Design Works?
To automotive, yeah. Like LA is, of course, and you all know that, a car city. I mean, people here love their cars. There's a real good car culture. But what makes LA really special is it's a system city, right? So it works across all sectors. And if you look at cars and how cars have developed over the last, I would say 5-10 years, they really have become systems, very, very complex systems on very small footprints. So we have to really integrate those systems, hardware, software, circularity systems, infrastructure systems on this very small footprint. And the better we do that, and the better we integrate those different areas, the better the car and the better the experience in the end. So we really profit from being exposed to all of these areas, to all of these sectors. And what we see, innovation sparks, the better you overlay them, the better you work at the edges of industries, the better you immerse yourself into those industries, the better you understand, and in the end, bring it into the product, the more meaningful the experience is for the customer. So what I need from my team is, of course, to have the talent, and you were mentioning that, Lucius. I need designers who can code. I need developers who can storytell, and I need strategists that can do AI. So really this cross-section of talent and these hybrids that we were talking about in the panel before as well, I find them here, they just evolve naturally. And I think that is what makes LA so special. And of course, LA is a test bed. We see Waymos driving everywhere. Everyone is using them. People are very versed at, exposure to new technologies. They're very accepting of it because it is their everyday life and it's so convenient. And people don't have this, distance to it. So for us, it's a great opportunity. We love to be exposed to the LA creative economy. It's vast, it's lush, people have open doors, and we have these amazing interactions with our partners. So for us, it really is, imagining stuff and really building it directly.
That's amazing. And I like that line of imagining and building. We heard from the governor, kind of California as a a place of dreamers and doers and builders. And that's kind of a theme you hear over and over again. And it comes from something, it comes from somewhere. And I think that I'm also hearing kind of problem solving for the future, and that was another theme we heard earlier. So a lot of these space, clean energy, the evolution of sports, with the nature of a car, right? Like what a car looks like. I was just driving in here, and it has the maps and has the music, and I can talk. And this used to be, a decade ago, you say, oh, this is just on a computer, and then my car is a separate physical experience. And now we just take it for granted that a team of dreamers integrated that and found
Yeah.
a way to build that.
Absolutely. And the better you do that, the better the experience. And you have the entertainment industry here, and we can learn from them so much. How do they immerse people into a different world? And then you bring that into a car, and people just feel like in a different place. So we really, really appreciate the openness that we experience here.
That's incredible. And I appreciate the tie to entertainment, because also I really love that the speakers that I was using, playing the music that was coming in, and this new song came out, and it was from a musician that's from LA. So a lot of pieces kind of coming together. So we've listed different examples of different companies that were attracted to come here, maybe decades ago, maybe recently. But can we come back to you, Lucius, and talk through what is that process that a company goes through to select LA, and maybe using Ford as an example that I know Long Beach was collaborating with recently?
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes it's a little bit easier than others. I think for the recent example of, you're referring to Ford Motor Company, announced last year that they were going to be making a massive investment in LA County. They selected Long Beach for a two-building campus. It's over 250,000 square feet, R&D research center, specifically set up to capture the EV talent in Southern California. So they knew that they were not going to be able to find the design and engineering talent in Michigan, nor other cities or states. And they wanted to be strategic to place this investment to attract engineers from Tesla, Rivian, Canoo, all the Faraday, all the EV companies we have in development here. When we started meeting with them early on, it became apparent that they weren't just looking for automotive or car experienced engineers. They were also really keyed in on folks that had experience in NASA, JPL, Apple, Google, and they wanted to place this investment in a place where they knew they could have a wide variety of diverse living environments. Someone that wanted the downtown experience, that wanted the high-rise penthouse or condo in downtown LA or downtown Long Beach, or wanted a more family-friendly experience with a backyard with a dog. They wanted to be able to meet the interests and needs of all the talent they were sourcing. When they polled their prospective candidates, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be sharing this or not, but they had shared with me that Southern California and LA County specifically was a place that brought all of those things together. We have an incredible education system here. I think going back to talent, I mean, there's only, as far as I know, there's only one other city, county, region in all of the United States where you can access 4 R1, Tier 1 research universities within a 30-mile radius. So you have that in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in the Boston area, but you have that here in LA. So you have Caltech, UCLA, USC, and then UC Irvine is moving up in importance and significance internationally because they have an applied material science metallurgy program. So as the Council General was explaining about Nikon, several of the employees at Nikon are connected to academic research units at UC Irvine that are essentially building and making new types of metals that are being used in the automotive industry as well as space and research. But yeah, it was great working with Ford, and I think they saw the value in LA. It was just a matter of finding the right type of facility for them they're doing R&D. They're calling this facility their Skunkworks division. So they wouldn't have been able to settle in an existing building. They needed a new custom build to suit, and we were able to accommodate them in Long Beach with a new development. And coming on the market, we have about 2 million square feet of additional facilities that we're targeting advanced manufacturing, space, automotive, research, engineering, and design. So there's a lot of opportunities right now, especially in LA County, for companies that are looking to expand.
That's amazing, and that's so interesting that in part of the calculus was the talent, but also what is the lifestyle possibilities that are offered to the talent. In our previous session, our president of CMTC Bank, he shared his story that he came to LA 13 years ago, and he shared how you arrived to LA and you just kind of fall in love with it. Because it's a place you could do business and you can live. And as a born Angelino, and I left and I came back. And one of the many reasons I came back was LA is, I couldn't agree with him more, is a place you can do business and live. You have incredible work and economic and business opportunities. But if you would like that urban high rise, or if you want suburban living, or if you want a certain type of cuisine, or if you want to be by the beach or you don't want to be by the beach, there's over 18 million of us in the county, and therefore there's a kind of lifestyle opportunity for everyone. But that's so interesting that to hear that explicit connection to the business opportunity. Want to come back to Paul and Julia and talk about the kind of industry intersection that we've been touching on a bit more, but just to be explicit, can you share a bit more about how the creative economy impacts other industries? And let's start with Paul and then come back to Julia.
Yeah, I think one of the things we try to talk a lot about is that when we deal with the film industry, we're dealing with people in industries people don't normally think about and how they cross over. So certainly the film industry has needed the tech industry, the advancements in that, certainly around AI and what's going to happen. Construction of new sound stages to meet those demands of AI, all of these things overlap. But on the creative side as well, we don't necessarily recognize that the reason we have the LA Phil and musicians that can work there is because they also transition over to doing film work. And many of them also transition over to doing church work and playing. And so, as an example, actors in theater, also in television. And then even things like costumers crossing over to different areas as well. But the fascinating thing also is the symbiotic relationship in LA specifically to the tourism industry and its needs. People come here for Hollywood, which we're all labeled as, no matter where you live in LA County. But they come here for that, and it is a massive part of our industry as well. So all of these things together support the film industry, it supports other industries. And again, it is the fact that there's dense concentration of technology, of creative people, of support services, of infrastructure that make LA a place that really can succeed for all those industries.
Yeah, so at DesignWorks, we are doing advanced design for BMW, but we also work with a large amount of, like a big portfolio of clients across all sectors. So a lot of projects are in the aviation industry. We are doing a lot of work, capital equipment, but also a lot of immersive work, like immersive experiences, medical devices, and so on. And there, it's really interesting, like to move these different industries, these different products across the sectors. I'm giving you a few examples. If we are designing, for example, a medical device, industrial medical device, we are using game engines and Unreal technology to put people who are, like having a medical procedure into a different space where they feel comforted and where they are mentally in a different world. So here we use, entertainment industry to learn from and to use that expertise to just, transport people and give them a better experience. The same for if we are developing autonomous cars or robots. We can just go pop into Disney and ask them, how do you build a character that evokes trust? And those simple, synergies in our partner network, they are really the ones where the innovation sparks, where you bring a product just to a different kind of level. And there are so many examples of that. And like all of our products and all of our clients are benefiting from us being here. So for us, it's a really great advantage. And the creativity is just sparking, especially on those intersections.
Wow, I just learned about some new ideas and new applications. So thank you for sharing.
They're secret.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, I think we'll keep it in this room. But thank you for sharing.
And that part is talking about the entertainment and the automobiles. There's a Japanese, I think the Sony and the Honda developed their new joint ventures producing the EVs called Afila. They have office in Torrance. We visited together with the Mayor Chan. And their concept is just only driving, but the inside the car is almost like the theater that you can enjoy. So once you have the autonomous driving, then you can enjoy watching movies and the music, and that might be another concept that they're really trying. So that really bringing different sectors together. That is really an innovation.
And sometimes the entertainment industry is inspiration. We only need to talk about Back to the Future and the hoverboard, right?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Big fan.
That's true. Actually, my next question was about to start talking about the future, but Paul, maybe the best answer to that is let's look at the last 10 box office hits and what does that paint and does that, how much does that track? But pivoting to the future and some of the themes that were highlighted in the opening remarks, and I think it's just so core to California, to LA County, is we're always kind of writing that next chapter, figuring out where does the story continue. We're not looking backwards, we're looking forwards. So always innovate, solve problems, thrive, and better. So looking forward, let's go to Kenko and Lucius from a kind of government angle. What emerging industries and changes do you see occurring in LA and over the coming years? And what's the role that government can play to help LA be best positioned for those changes? And why don't we start with Kenko and then come to Lucius?
Well, but the bringing new ideas, technologies, of course, one big movement is about the startups. Japanese government announced about a year ago about a 5-year plan for promoting startups. Our idea is to create 100,000 startups and 100 unicorns. That is a very ambitious goal. And then in order to make that happen, we bring some Japanese startup here in this region to experience the most advanced environment or to have the connection with the venture capitals or the supporters, mentors. So we have last 2 years, we already have bringing around 20 startups in this region, like in last 2 years, mostly focusing on the clean energy related technologies. But in addition, there is one Japanese company called the Gitai, which is producing the arms for for supporting the space industries. They start working together with Toyota, who is planned to producing pressurized lunar rover. So we are planning to have bring the people again to the moon, which is the new Ultimate project together with Japan and United States working together on this US project. And we are planning, hoping that the Japanese astronaut or not is going to move using this Toyota's rover. This Gitai is working together with Toyota. So those are the new areas. And so really promoting the startup is one of the areas we're really trying to have new ideas and bring more new people to bring here to start something new businesses.
Yeah, it's going back to film. Shout out to the film industry. It's really cool to talk with founders of companies, billionaires that are investing in companies in LA County, and for them to cite, Star Trek or Star Wars as the impetus for them wanting to, after they made their money, to go into, the space industry, and that's a real that inspiration is really important. Right now, I mean, some of the conversations I have with some of these companies would just blow people's minds. But it's, we're looking at like in space biopharmaceutical manufacturing. So, we're just going to skip the biosciences in Long Beach and we're going to go to in space manufacturing. There's a great company up in El Segundo. Shout out to Barbara. Incredible amount of startups. Also to the mayor of Torrance. Good to see him here. Between the three of us, we have so much going on right now that's cutting edge and really leading internationally. But I think from a government perspective, it's really, the mayor and I talk about this a lot. If it's speed to market, so this isn't a company like a Boeing or a company that's been around for over 100 years. The companies that are really investing and growing right now that we want to cultivate. That could be the next unicorn, or could be the first, multi-trillion-dollar company in Southern California. They're using new kinds of equipment, and sometimes those types of equipment can be very scary to a firefighter or a fire marshal who's never seen that equipment before. So what we did in Long Beach, and hopefully no one steals this idea, but we brought together a group from our fire department to say, look, this company is using a new type of battery. These companies are using special generators and special equipment. Why don't we get new types of fuels? Most cities know how to deal with fires related to traditional types of fuel, gas and diesel, but how do you deal with a fire that might have been started from lithium batteries or hydrogen or some other kind of material? So understanding how to address those things ahead of time, so when the permitting process starts, it doesn't take a year for that equipment to be allowed to be utilized. So I think that's something that we're doing really great in LA County right now, because we're at the forefront of new technology and emerging industries. So that's something I think is something that's unique to what we're doing here.
That's incredible. And the permitting process, I was hoping that kind of on the government side or something, maybe on any side, that would come up. We would talk about that because we can talk about these ideas and then the economic potential, but then you kind of drill down more and more tactically. What does it look like to actually make this idea happen? Do I have the right people who can actually build this idea? And then do I have the protocols and the timeline set up for me to actually release this innovation to the market? And permitting is such a it could be a real challenge, or it could be a great process with clarity, and you kind of line that up with your product development cycles. And I know that that's something that the county, different players in the county, Barbara and I've talked about this, and I know Mayor Chen in Torrance, that's something that's also top of mind, of how do you harmonize those processes to line up with that product launch, that time to market is productive. Paul, wanted to come back to you specifically on film. I thought this would be a timely question no matter what, but there's a lot of conversation for the past, and you've been leading a lot of this conversation and clarity around how do we support our film industry. You're right that in LA we kind of take that for granted of, oh, Hollywood, it's so core and there's more to us than that, but we still want it to be there. And that conversation at times maybe could be taken for granted that, well, we had a first mover advantage for a while. And then when you have other industries that their teams, their economic developers made some decisions to promote those industries, how do we respond to that effectively? And so curious, what are the barriers and the opportunities you see for the LA film industry?
And there's two. One pretty much out of anyone's control, and it's affecting filming globally, and that is a huge cutback in the amount of production happening by the streamers as well as the networks. The number of episodes per season has shrunk. Many of you experience that when you try to binge watch your favorite show and it gets over in a day and a half and you're frustrated. So that's the first thing, and that's global. Everybody in the world is talking about the pullback in production. The second major disadvantage we face is 120 jurisdictions around the world offering money to the film industry at different levels to take it away from LA and the original area, New York, both suffering greatly in this change. California did sleep on it. Despite the noise we tried to make and everything else, trying to get people aware of how quickly we were losing the business, and even talking about long-term, saying you have to compete with Georgia before they develop a crew and a cast base and a studio system. Nothing. It was crickets. Georgia now has a very sophisticated cast, crew, and studio system. So they're a real, true competitor where they didn't used to be. And so the real issue here in California has been our failure to compete. As you probably know, the governor is proposing changing a $330 million tax credit to $750 million. There's a couple of things around it. First, it's one of the very few in the world that only does what's called below the line. So the major stars, the directors, the producers, the part of the budget that covers them is not subject to this. So the current 20% in LA County ends up being about 12% versus a 30, 40 or more in other jurisdictions. Most of these companies are publicly traded. They have to answer to their shareholders, and they chase the money. Many of our major studios don't even budget LA or California anymore for their films. Almost all of our major features are now made in Great Britain because of the tax credits. So the 750 will have an impact. It's proposed to change that 20 to 35%. That's great. But if you do math, taking a 20% credit, making it 35%, changing the amount of money from 330 to 750 million dilutes the amount of new work that will come with it. It'll have a positive impact. It will not solve the problem. So what do? A lot of it has to do with some of the things the city and county are talking about, which is helping to further streamline. Right now, we're the fastest turnaround in Film LA's 16 jurisdictions of 3 days to turn around a permit. It's very quick. And part of it then comes to how much does it cost. So Film LA's fees have increased only by inflation since 2015. Only by inflation means if you couldn't afford it in 2015, you still can't afford it in 2025. And so that's part of what we've looked at. We have a new technology system that is helping us to determine the actual work effort it takes to process different kinds of permit applications. The result is those with the big budgets doing big things like explosions and helicopter flights and those things now have been pulled out of the basic permit so that the small production isn't paying for big production. And we've been able to do that a lot, and we're continuing to look at it. But the city and county need to do more as well. There may be a need for some kinds of grants and other things on the local level, because the other thing about the state tax credit is it bonuses people to leave Los Angeles. And so in the last iteration of the California tax credit, 51 projects, 31 of them are out of the greater Los Angeles area. And so that's another thing we have to face going forward. We still have the best cast and crews. We have new developing sound stages to accommodate larger production and AI. We have a lot of great things happening, and we just need the industry to come back, understand that, and hopefully with competition. Now, nationally, we're hearing all this noise. I don't know what the heck it means to do an intellectual property tariff. Nobody does. It was an interesting thing John Voight brought to the White House, having heard from some groups. The thing that seems to be more prevalent among the industry and some of the politicians is the idea of a national tax credit, which would sort of even the playing field with the rest of the world, still leaving competition between states and the US. So there are all things on the table that can help, and so we'll see how it goes. But we still have enthusiasm for the fact that this still is currently, by the way, 2 years from now, Toronto beats us on stage space, but currently the best place in the world to film.
Well, thank you, Paul. And you covered a lot of themes here that I think represent what it means to promote an industry, right? So at the economic level, we could talk about these industries. Are they booming? Are they busting? But at the business decision maker level, a lot of this is, what are the unit economics, right? At the end of the day, this is, if the math is not mathing, right, so it's tough. And so you need, do I have the people to build this idea, bring it to market? Can I actually get this product to market? And what are the unit economics of doing so? And kind of weighing that cost benefit analysis. And so you kind of bring to light what that has looked like for the film industry. And I think part of the reason why there's increasing attention, we know that the state level, this is a big focus, is film, like we've discussed, is a classic example of trickle-down impacts to other sectors, right? So LA tourism, LA film, tight connection there. And then there is, on the film side, interestingly, one of those cultural, social, it's one of those items that you can't always measure it. And that's tough. And as an economist, I don't love that. But it's tough, but if it's not there, you would notice it, and you have full other regions and localities and kind of the history of other countries about promoting film, about promoting their stories and their media. So much of Korea's massive economic development did have film and media as a core component. So thank you for kind of walking through that. Want to come back to our international panelists who come to us from different locations and kind of have that awareness or appreciation personally. From Kenko and Julia, government and business perspectives, how do international partnerships help fuel growth and competitiveness for LA industries? And let's start with Julia.
So for us, innovation is, of course, a core of our business, and that is a very organic procedure. So when we do innovation, we are lucky to have a large ecosystem, like innovation ecosystem at BMW. It's all over the world. So when we are looking at tech scouting, we are looking at Japan for technology, we are looking at China, we are looking everywhere, basically. And we bring those components or the technologies or the software over to LA, into our studio or into our tech office. We prototype here, we create products, we test them because that's what we can do here really easily. We developed them to a certain level, and then we bring them back to Munich, where the cars are, where they are then integrated into the cars. So for us, it's a two-way bridge. We are receiving, we are bringing stuff to Munich. It's a process that organically just moves around the world. So we really do rely on international partnerships. It strengthens both our partners, our vendors, and us ourselves, So it's really important, and LA is a great place to just do these experimentations, get to a certain scale, and then do strategic investments and really fuel the innovation that really sparks. Because not everything is sparking, right? You're trying out so many things. And the good thing here is that you can iterate very fast, and you get to a certain state where either you have a buy-in then or you don't. And then you just select out the things that seem to grow and bring them to Munich to then grow into large scales, and then bring them back into the cars that benefit in the end, like every customer globally. So it's very organic, and we do really benefit from this global mindset that you find here.
Well, it's I think the Los Angeles, good part of the Los Angeles, that there are so many different companies or entertainment industries coming together, and so many different areas, so that any company can find the opportunity to find their counterpart or the partners to working together. And one example, I think it's in terms of automobile industries. Of course, the autonomous driving, the Waymo, is really already very strong here in this region. So that now the Japanese companies start working together with Waymo. One thing is that we are trying to bring the Waymo system in Japan. So one of the Japanese taxi companies working together with Waymo to make the Waymo style taxi system in Japan. They are now still start working on that. I think a good thing in this part is, of course, that the Los Angeles is area. You can have try something new in Japan. Maybe it's really hard to start this autonomous driving There are so many regulation and standards and safety issues, so that they together working with those companies in the United States in this region will be a good opportunity. And now the Waymo is also working together with Toyota. They recently announced that they are working together. Maybe the future, the autonomous, not only for the taxis, but the personally owned autonomous driving cars. So in the future, that will be another opportunity, that collaborations. And then seeing a little bit in the future, in the Olympic, LA 28. There are huge demand over the public transportation, including those buses. I think the LA 28 is planning to procuring thousands of buses for the operations for the Olympics. So there'll be an opportunity to work together with different industries, hopefully using the hydrogen fuel cell buses with autonomous driving in this region. That will be, for my personal idea, for the dream that can happen here in this Los Angeles, and it really could possible to do that.
Amazing. So kind of winding down here, I wanted to ask a question for everyone on the panel. At LADC, World Trade Center is a subsidiary of the LA Economic Development Corporation. A lot of the philosophy that we partner with our stakeholders across government, business, and community organizations is the belief that growing the economy is valuable and growing it in a way that all Angelenos can benefit in terms of jobs and business opportunities. And so my question is for everyone on the panel, and we'll start with Paul and come down, is how can we expand access to these vibrant industries so that more Angelenos can benefit in terms of jobs and business opportunities?
Well, one of the things on the film industry side that's pretty extraordinary is we have more film schools here than any place else in the world. And so that entry-level folks are here. Right now, we're losing them, though, because of the amount of work available. So how do we increase access? Well, first, we have to increase production. So there are places for them to work. But the California tax credit actually has requirements to train and to bring people in. If you're getting that tax credit, you have to help bring them in. The unions made agreements to do that as well, to help people get into those. But the real truth on that side of it, the actual work side of it, is around the ability to increase the production to the point that the opportunities exist for people to come in and enter. The other things are supporting organizations like, for example, New Filmmakers LA, which gives new filmmakers an opportunity to expose their work to the world. It's an amazing organization. Once a month, they do a film premieres and everything else. So there's a lot of symbiosis in the community to try and make it work. But the other part of it is for those emerging filmmakers, it's how do we make sure that they are fully utilizing the assets that are available in the way that's most cost effective. And to that end, if any of you are new filmmakers, Film LA has a group called Solution Services that actually makes sure you're fully utilizing your permit. For example, you do 1 day, 1 shoot, you pay the same as you would if you did 5 days in 4 different jurisdictions at 10 locations. And so doing that spreads that cost out. And so we work with them all the time to educate about the fact that you can do it here. You can do it in a way that is economical. And we help them through a GIS system avoid the most expensive places. So we already know, we put in where the neighborhoods are mad, and you're going to get accosted, and we can help shift them away. So we've done a lot with technology and the advances in technology and GIS to truly make this a place that is easy to film, which is a big piece of growing and learning and getting your first steps into festivals.
Amazing. Let's go to Kenko.
Well, I think since already we have the very huge, largest Japanese business presence in Southern California, they really need the people working in that company, so that we really hiring a lot of the people in this region. And of course, in order to do more businesses, I very much appreciate the LADC as well as the World Trade Center to supporting Japanese businesses. We already have established our collaboration with the Japanese Business Association for more than 20 years. I understand that we have the MOU for the collaborations, for the business collaboration, as well as last year we signed another MOU for promoting the startups as well. So those are the areas we really want work together with the LAEDC to do more businesses and to connecting with the local businesses that are working together. Another aspect that we really need to working with the like the universities to get the collaborations. One example is that as you mentioned about the UC Irvine is really strong technology part, and one of the Japanese company called the Horiba, who is making some measurement equipment dealing with different industries. And then Horiba established some supported to creating one center for promoting the new mobility technologies using so that those collaboration with universities will be the good example. And it's speaking of the space technologies, the Caltech has the institute called the KISS. I forgot the first name. It's the space related institute. They are working together with JPL so that the Japanese space industry also working with those areas. So those collaboration with the academia or school universities is also important aspect we would like to promote more. And in order for to working with Japanese companies, I hope from the younger generations to start a little bit learning Japanese language as well. That we also really promoting.
I think from the Long Beach perspective, we have an incredible increase in emerging technology, new science, industry that is so cutting edge and so new that some subjects aren't being taught yet in the local school district. So, the mayor took this on a few years ago. When I joined his team, he's like, we got to figure out how to connect the space station manufacturing and the rocket engine manufacturing to Cal State University Long Beach, to Long Beach City College. And last year we launched a space camp program for youth that have traditionally struggled, targeting foster youth. Opportunity youth is kind of the designation in Long Beach. So folks that have never had any exposure to the industry. We did the first one last year. It was very successful with 35 students. And we're going to be doing, or young people, we're going to be doing 2 camps this year. But as part of that, the mayor saw an opportunity to bring together specifically the space industry and created his own space council, which is made up of over 25 different companies that have a nexus with space and defense, specifically in Long Beach, and has really put it on the table. Like, we love the work that y'all are doing. You're bringing new talent here. You're hiring local talent. But we want to make sure that everyone feels like there's an opportunity to, get that $45 an hour welding job, that they can figure out a way to learn how to access what's going on behind the walls of your manufacturing and design facility. So I think that's tantamount. I think the work that LAEDC is doing through, California Jobs First initiative. You all just, you think you have an RFP that closes tomorrow that is really around high road training partnerships. I think it's important that we're all working together as governments and industry to make sure that we're really answering the call to connect the dots for everyone that lives in LA.
So for us, access means infrastructure. Infrastructure of mobility, infrastructure of education, and to grant access to a wide demographic that we have here, that's really interesting. It's basically one of the best design exercises you can do because it opens your eyes and it really humbles you. So we did a project, the bus shelters that you see being rolled out, and we did the interface and wayfinding system there. And what we saw, if you engage with, LA as a county, you go, and you listen to these clients, and they are so diverse, and it brings you back to design solutions that are really clear. It's a very complex system, and the only thing you have to do is make it as clear and simple and decluttered as possible. And that for us is like dedicating design to clear solutions, to solutions that grant access to everyone. I think that is something, like for us, it's one of the best projects we can do. And the same for education. We have a lot of different engagements on the education side. So work with Santa Monica College, we just finished a really interesting project. And it's a win-win really, because we learn from fresh pairs of eyes, like a different kind of mindset, different kind of educational basis. And they learn from our experts. So for us, it's a give and take. You have to engage if you want to be successful in LA, and you benefit from engaging if you engage here. So win-win for us.
I really appreciate the range of answers to this question, because you all represent kind of the vantage point. So I appreciate your point, Julia, from a kind of product access, or consumers or users effectively in the county. What is the infrastructure? What are the tools? What are the solutions they have access to or not? And so if those tools and that infrastructure hasn't been designed with different perspectives in mind, then it's not accessible to the. So I appreciate that angle versus the angle of workforce development, right? Training, giving opportunities to our next generation of talent, representative of different parts of our county, and using that as a vehicle to create opportunity. And then, our Consul General, I appreciate your cultural exchange plug of language exchange, kind of other elements of other opportunities that this economic exchange can then open doors to. So we're coming at the end of time. The whole schedule is pushed back a bit, just kind of like airplanes or at airports when each flight gets a little delayed. So the final question here, kind of rapid fire. We'll start again with Paul and come back. What kind of quick advice or message would you say to any group or team or delegation considering whether they should select LA?
Well, the quick thing is do it. You have such amazing access and such amazing resources to help you find what you need, which is another big key element of this. Is there are organizations like LAEDC and Film LA and cities who are ready to help you make it go, and there's a real thirst for the work. So it's a great place to be right now when everybody wants you desperately, and will do pretty much anything to get you here.
Well, the good thing in Los Angeles is, of course, the weather is nice, but I think this diversity is really key, that you can really enjoy the different culture and experiences, even living in this city. And especially for the Japanese cultures, there are so many events going on, and also you can enjoy the great Japanese food as well. And if you live in Torrance, you're almost like living in Japan. And I think the people is open-minded, and then try to something new. I think this is the place that you can start something new and to enjoy your life as well. And then you can enjoy going Dodger Stadium as well.
Yeah, I think, if you're a company and you don't have an LA County presence, I find that shocking to believe. So, LA County's long been the gateway to the world, but I think now we're seen more and more as the gateway to the galaxy with emerging technology and what's happening with space here. So if you're really a future-thinking company, if you want to understand why folks are looking at the new space economy, which is supposed to be a multi-trillion-dollar economy trillion-dollar economy and opportunity by 2033, multi-trillion by 2040. If you're not in LA County, you really need to come.
For me, it's 50-50. So wherever I step outside in LA, I see lower part, just a buzzing, really diverse, amazing city that just builds stuff. And then it's 50% sky, endless possibilities. And those two things are for me the LA mindset. You can imagine anything and you get stuff done. That's it.
I love it. Well, thank you all, and couldn't agree more, and kind of echo the sentiments. Thank you all for sharing your expertise and insight. Let's hear it for our panel.